for taking the time. I know this is going to sound basic and yet complicated, but what went through your mind as the verdict was read?
I was relieved to hear that there was going to be accountability and ownership and a conclusion to this part of this story. One of the things that we have struggled with through this whole case has been the exclusion of my other story, which is my son that drowned in her care. And so for us, this is a win for Yuri. But I have a son named Ezra, and he has not been spoken of. And he died in her care. And I don't have any accountability or any answers for that. And I continue to look for those answers to what happened in that case and why that case was not worthy of prosecution at that time. So we're going to be going back in with the state and having a few more conversations to see. But in this moment, we are relieved. The daughter and me had a very hard time with her being taken, and I ended up stepping aside for that moment. And it isn't something that I would ever call a win for me. It is a win for justice for my daughter. And we are grateful to the jurors that spent their time, to all the experts, to all the police and EMTs and every person that played a hand in this trial. We are truly grateful for your consideration and your time and the energy you guys have spent, as well as you guys from the media. I'm truly grateful for giving my story a voice and giving our kids a chance for the world to see that they were incredibly wanted and loved and valued to us.
Hear the guilty on one count, not guilty on another. How do you guys view that?
For it being not guilty, it does sting. I'm thankful though that we did get something. I didn't want to walk out of there and see her walk away like she's been for the past 2 years and just being out and about. I was glad to see that the jury did see our side of it, even though they didn't push for the maximum sentence. It was still, like I said, a form of justice.
Well, and as her daughter, I've struggled the whole time with understanding why there couldn't just be that ownership and what did happen. Like, why did we do this? The destruction that has come from this process is pretty unfathomable as well. You know, my kids are dead, but I've lost a lot more.
Yeah.
Than that.
My son's lost a brother. My son's lost a sister.
Absolutely.
You know what I mean? We look at it from that perspective, and it's,
we advocate for our children.
Yeah.
Talking with the assistant city attorney, was there any indication on what she was found guilty on and how much time she could potentially be looking at for a sentence?
He was saying the maximum for the conviction that she had was 5 years. But he was very unsure whether or not they were going to arrest her.
Go into further details and all of it kind of played out in front of us.
But the thing
is, having much time to take that in.
The judge knew of my son's story. You know what I mean? The judge was very familiar with it, and I think that had to play in it. Even though the jury didn't know, the judge was very familiar with it. And so
her defense was prepared to shut down a case containing Ezra, which is why they had so many hearings, and ultimately he was excluded from this trial.
Over the last couple days, I mean, there were so many moments and obviously so many emotions. I'm wondering if there are any particular moments that stick out to each of you as you were hearing person after person come up and testify.
I was deeply saddened when my sister had to testify. This trial process has been complicated. But it broke my heart to see her and to have it brought back to memory that there was personal events in their life that day that she had damaged in her world as well. And I adore my son or my nephew, Aiden. And I hate so deeply that he's traumatized by this, including the court process, including all of this, because he's a teenager. And I think that I struggled the most with her testimony and also just listening to the recording of my mom. I think go on a long time about where she was going,
and the fact
what was she going to do, and never hearing, oh my God, Yuri, oh my God, my granddaughter. Where's my granddaughter? What happened to her?
It was her keeping the information from us instead of telling us. that was.
And we are happy ultimately with what the state provided for us in terms of this case with Ezra or with Yuri. And I continue to look for a way to address my son Ezra's issue because it's something I feel worthy of attention.
How does the family move on from here? I mean, this whole thing is absolutely tragic. How do you guys move on from this?
We got our son Asher, and we just had a newborn. She is fixing to be 5 months old now, and so we focus on those, and we focus on building. We are always going to be thinking of our children, but I can't neglect my son that I have, and I'm not going to hurt them. It's a day at a time, in a sense.
And when it comes to my family, I mean, that is complicated. In this process, due to certain circumstances, I was already pretty well distanced from them. There are some family members I haven't spoken to in years, and that breaks my heart, and I would want nothing more for that to be different. But the damage has been felt in that way greatly, and I don't know how we recover. I want that. I want us to have a family. But right now it seems very complicated. Thank you guys so much. We really appreciate it.